We are live. Stop, Deb. I made her freeze, guys. I also made her sing a song from Frozen the other day, so it's a theme that's going on. Hello everybody. We are live filming the 8th episode of Rails Optional, and today we are going to talk about unlearning. My name is Nicole Eisdorfer. I am your friendly, probably not local HR philosopher, and I connect HR to a bazillion different fields and see what happens.
I love that. Did you plan that ahead of time? That was brilliant.
Of course I did. If I don't plan it, I can't do it.
My name is Deb Haas. I'm a former HR executive who now coaches women 40 plus how to make AI their bitch.
And just so you all know, I have worked with Deb extensively in that realm. And because of Deb, I managed to find almost $800 worth of charges that I just didn't know I was paying. And that was just one little use case. Oh.
Holy
Oh,
crap.
you get rock star lights when you do that.
I did not know that.
All right. So today's topic, we're talking about unlearning. In corporate, we talk a lot about learning new skills, keeping up with technology, staying current, adapting. The entire corporate training industry is built around this idea that the answer to change is more knowledge, more courses, more credentials, and more information flowing in. And our brains are only so big. There are only so many pathways you can build before you have nothing left to build pathways between. So, what happens to all the knowledge that was already there? What happens to the knowledge that needs to be replaced? Like, does somebody come by with a dustbuster and like suck it out and throw it out your ears? Like, right? Like, no,
Can you tell I haven't slept yet? Because everything that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy that this is how we relate to it. That we just have to keep shoving more learning in there. Just keep pushing it in there.
Well, and also like the way knowledge works, you don't just like, it doesn't just stack up like Jenga blocks, right? It doesn't sit passively, like the old stuff doesn't sit there while you add new stuff on top of it. It shapes the way you integrate the new knowledge.
You nest it. It's nested, isn't it? That's what I heard, or something like it's the skills are I'm sorry, this is a really rude gesture. No, that's even worse. Like they're nested in.
For those of you who can see this on video and can see what my face just did.
And I remember this because I investigated it about a year ago because I was fascinated about the whole idea that, of course, they refer to it as laddering because everything in our world, it has to be a hierarchy or up whatever, but how a lot of people are missing lower rungs of their skill ladders, and that's why they can't like move to a next level, or they can't, is because there's some foundational skill that's missing, or maybe not missing, or underdeveloped.
It's incomplete or underdeveloped. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Fascinating stuff.
So here's where we are. We have knowledge. We get new knowledge. The old knowledge stays. The new knowledge gets processed through the lens of the old knowledge. Even when we're told specifically that the old knowledge is not correct, we don't just let go of it, right? Like the way knowledge works is sort of this, the metaphor I told you earlier was like when you are on a college campus and all the students have been crisscrossing across the lawn and now they want to regrow the grass there. So they put up fences and then they create an alternative route for it. And so people learn that the alternative route is the correct route and you go that way and it's fine and it's all good and the grass regrows and they take the fences down. And then eventually some student is late to class and the thing that is easier is what happens. And now like you're back going across the grass. So unlearning is designed to solve this sort of conditioning that knowledge gives us. Unlearning has only sort of made its way into corporate pop culture the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And
I love that
like many
corporate pop culture, which almost feels like it should be like a oxymoron or something, or moron or whatever it is called. But
but I mean, it kind of like, I don't know. I think it works, right? I mean,
no, it
pop
does. It
music
absolutely does. Because I
steals from
remember
all
not,
the other genres.
yeah. But I have a question for you. Okay, so you know how you were saying for the grass, they like reroute it so that you know, to make the grass. Isn't that route built in the first place because it's the quickest and the shortest route from point A to point B?
Yeah, and that's an excellent example of the people who designed the sidewalks not paying attention to human behavior, which is another excellent metaphor for corporate. Uh, but assuming, like, you have seen, like, this has begun to be a thing, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
some
definitely.
college campuses, they have said, hey, you know what? We know you're going to do this. And so what they have done is they have built this sort of like off ramp sidewalk. So it like goes diagonally from like one sidewalk to the next. And they put like a pretty planter
Which
in the
is
little corner that's left.
that's
And
brilliant.
it works good. It's fine. Yeah. Okay.
Or they
So
do what they do at Oxford University, and you cannot walk on the grass in the quad. Like only people who are graduate or whatever, or professors or whatever, can actually walk on the grass in the quad of a college at
that
Oxford
probably
University.
that probably works both because Oxford is steeped in tradition and it's in Great Britain, and whatever one might say about generalizations, the British are often significantly more polite and rule following than Americans are. So I would love to see them try that in Austin. Good luck. Oh no, you can't walk on the grass here, darling. You haven't got the standing. I have a terrible British accent. Sorry. Okay. So, unlearning corporate pop culture. This existed outside of, random people's books, but so going back to Socrates and the whole Socratic method, like the Socratic method is meant to have you evaluate what you know through why you know it and whether it's true in this situation and in this situation. Like it's meant to do that, right? That, how do I know what I know? That field is called epistemology, and you've probably heard me use that word.
I have, but you putting it somehow in this makes it have a whole different. This is the learning part where it takes me 7 or 8 times to hear it before the penny goes bing, and then the whole picture gets lit up, and I'm like, oh, now I see the map. Because we talked about the Socratic method, because I had mentioned that my first encounter with it was in my meaning of life philosophy course the freshman year, where I read the Frankl book about meaning of life, whatever, Viktor Frankl.
Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl, thank you. And I remember that particularly because I had the professor was asking me questions, because he was like, well, how do you know God exists? And I'm like, well, because the Bible says so. He's like, well, what? And then he started questioning me about it. And I was like, freaking the hell out, because this is the first time that my beliefs that I had been raised in were being logically questioned like this. And he was like, well, how do you know that that's true? Well, how do you know that that's true? I'm like, well, the Bible's like, yeah, the Bible was written by men. I'm like, yeah, but, and I just remember like walking out of that class being like, the earth has shook. I don't know what's real anymore. Or what?
I don't know what I know, and I don't know why I know it. Yeah, right. So like, what do you know? Why do you know it? And in what conditions are it true? Those 3 things are what's really important here. And we're going to like come back to why. So most of us treat knowledge like a possession. Oh, look, I'm going to pick up my little knowledge purse and I'm going to carry it with me. It's mine. I learned it. I get to carry it. I get to use it. I get to keep it forever. And
I get to compare it to other people's and be like, look, mine's leather piping.
My purse was more expensive than yours because Prada made mine. Harvard made my purse. Right? Okay. Right. It's a fashion accessory, my knowledge. But epistemology has this idea that every piece of knowledge is a claim. It's not a thing. You don't own it. It's a claim that depends on conditions. It was formed somewhere at some time, in a specific environment. And
Context.
in those
Context matters.
conditions, it was true, right? Yes,
Ah.
context matters. The problem is that conditions change and knowledge doesn't automatically update when they do. So, a more honest way to hold any professional belief would not be, I know X. Often, because by saying I know X, we are treating it as a truth and not a belief. But also, like the way we should be saying it is X was true when I learned it under these conditions.
Yes.
Are those conditions still present? That
Ah.
single shift from a possession to a conditional claim allows us to be less attached to the knowledge.
Oh
And
my
if you
God,
are
you're giving
less
me chills,
attached to the
woman. You're giving me
knowledge,
chills. You're giving me chills. You're giving me chills.
but that's it, like, right? If you're less attached to it, if it's not part of what you
Part of your
own or who
identity.
you are, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love this. Oh, woman, we could sit here and chat about this for holy crap. Keep going. Sorry, I'm just learning so much. You're just dropping so much on me right now. I'm just loving it.
Well, we've got a whole hour, right? Oh, okay. So unlearning is not forgetting. It's not erasing. It's not the little flashy thing from Men in Black, right? It's not even admitting that you were wrong.
Ooh.
Because your brain doesn't delete those old pathways. It builds the new ones and it redirects the traffic. And that old route stays there, right? Sitting there just waiting for you to be in a hurry to class and say, I can cut across the lawn just this one time. It's fine. No one will notice.
It's almost like when they tell, like with Alcoholics Anonymous, like you can't even have one drink because once you do it, you're starting that pathway.
You recreate the conditions that like start that pathway back up again, right?
It's true. It's true.
So, and that's part of why like telling someone that their knowledge is outdated like doesn't really produce behavior change, right? Because the neural pathway doesn't respond to just information. It responds to the experience that the new pathway is actually more useful. And that's why you have to give people information that is in fact more useful, because otherwise they're just going to keep messing up that grass.
Yeah, and because it's, especially if their identity is attached to it, I mean, then it's like a threat. Then it's a personal attack. Like new knowledge is a personal attack on them.
Yeah, right. And so like I have an example that's not from business. What do you know about stomach ulcers? Like, what do you know about?
You realize that you say stuff like this, and then it piques a memory, and then I have to go on some story, some Deb story. So what I know about stomach ulcers is this. So I've had gastric bypass surgery, right? But before that, I had the band surgery, which slipped, and then that's why I could. Anyways, I can't take NSAIDs because supposedly,
which by the way stands for non-steroidal anti-inflammatory.
Thank
drugs,
you. I did not know that.
The last is a D. Advil or Aleve.
Yes, I can't take any of those because my stomach is so small now that if I had an ulcer, maybe it could kill me. I don't know. It's just very scary condition. So I stay away from NSAIDs. I do not take them because of that.
Okay.
And I know that ulcers are like isn't it like a hole? Not a hole. Mm-hmm. Is it like a open?
It's like a little like sore, like a rubbing sore kind of.
I mean, I hate it when I have it on my hand or something, but I can't even imagine inside your stomach, like how painful that would be. Ugh.
Okay. So for decades, everybody knew, including physicians, that stomach ulcers were caused by stress and spicy food.
Yeah,
because they just went together, right? And somehow at some point they didn't learn the correlation does not equal causation truism. But every time, like this was in textbooks, it was the diagnostic framework. Doctors asked about stress levels. They recommended dietary changes. The whole system, the whole medical system was organized around that understanding. Stress and spicy foods cause ulcers. Early 1980s, 2 Australian researchers discover that the primary cause of stomach ulcers is actually a bacteria. H. pylori, you've probably heard of it.
I have, but I did not realize it was associated with ulcers.
present in roughly 50% of the global population. Most people carry it without any incident. But for 10 to 15% of the people who carry it, it colonizes the stomach lining. It disrupts acid regulation, degrades the protective layer, and allows stomach acid to burn through that exposed tissue. That's what the ulcer is. It is like the acid has burned through your stomach lining and created
So it
this
isn't
ulcer.
necessarily stress. I mean,
Ha
yeah, because the stress makes the juices juicy.
So this is funny, right? Like, so I've been on this whole paradigm kick lately, and talking about like how like we don't have ways to understand these things, right? So like
We don't.
we discovered this like H. pylori connection, and then there's like
Yeah.
two doctors, these like two Australians. Their names are Barry Marshall and Robin Warren, and somehow they managed to be two people who have like both first and last names that are first names.
I was like, you've got me really confused now. I'm going to say Barry Williams or Robin Williams. Okay.
Barry Marshall, Robin Warren.
Thank you.
They're so thoroughly dismissed by the medical establishment that Barry Marshall drank a petri dish of H. pylori to demonstrate its effect on his own stomach, and then cured himself with antibiotics. They won the Nobel Prize in 2005.
Oh my God, you just gave me freaking chills.
So this is like the example of like how I work with LLMs. Yeah. So, I was like, oh, I remember this like story about ulcers. Like, give me the story and tell me like how this relates to unlearning. And its answer was, well, it turns out H. pylori causes all ulcers, and like that's the full story, and like move on with life. And I was like, whoa, buddy. Like, this just got way too shallow. So like you just said that half the world has this bacteria, but half the world does not have ulcers. And also you like walk me through like how the bacteria colonizes the stomach lining. It's like, well, like either because of the environment of the stomach or because of some pre-existing thing, or like, these different factors, then the bacteria can attach and then like begin to eat its way in. And so like some people are just more susceptible than others. And I was like, okay, some people are more susceptible than others. Who are those people? And there's like, well, people who are already susceptible to inflammation. So people who have various different like stomach conditions that can cause inflammation. And I was like, oh, so, like people who are stressed out, because doesn't stress cause inflammation, dear perplexity? And it was like, oh, yeah, actually stress kind of does cause inflammation. And so if they have stress and they have H. pylori, then it could be a problem too. And, like, okay,
is it genetic
so maybe
too?
It's genetic.
Yeah.
Stress. There's like all these different things, right? But I was like, okay, but you said that there was this like correlation between H. pylori and that it was present in a very high number of ulcers, but it's not present in all ulcers. So what about the other ones? And so it starts telling me about the other ones, and I was like, okay, so now this is where we start to talk about how systems learn, right? So we know that for the vast majority of people, that this bacteria is present if they're going to have an ulcer. So if I am a patient and I go to my doctor and I complain about stomach pain that gets, I don't remember if it gets
burning
better or worse
or
when
something.
eating. I don't remember, like the burning pain or whatever. Like I complain about these symptoms in ulcer. The first thing they are going to do is they are going to test me for the presence of this bacteria. And if it's positive, then they're going to treat me with antibiotics. That's the entire healthcare system is now organized around this idea. And here's where it gets extra fun. Because in the United States, accountants and lawyers are more in charge of your healthcare than doctors are. We like to run on statistics. So statistically, you are more common. Like if you have this, like if you don't have this bacteria, then you probably don't have an ulcer. And so what they've built in is probably. But they've built in a gate. Like you can't just go do a scope and do a biopsy.
Oh, because that costs too much fucking money. And oops, sorry.
Yeah. So right, it's expensive. So insurance will not approve an endoscopy unless you've done an H. pylori test first. And if the test comes back negative and symptoms improve on acid suppression medication, the case is considered managed. Scope is not approved. Logic tree is complete. But H. pylori negative ulcers exist and are increasing. There are rare tumors that cause extreme acid overproduction. severe physiological stress, and there are several other causes that are being categorized. Now, let's sit in the system that we live in right now, where
Yep.
we are literally laying off thousands and thousands and thousands of people a month. So they're losing access to their healthcare system, their
Oh.
healthcare.
Oh.
Everybody's family is stressed. Like we are like living under constant stress.
Oh.
But stress doesn't cause ulcers. Oh, well, wait. Oh, but it can cause symptoms that are conducive to the creation of an ulcer. So we have this entire system that unlearned that stress causes
Wait, I lost you.
ulcers.
Oh, there we go. Now I hear you. Okay, sorry. Say it again.
Cool.
We have this entire system that what?
We have this entire system that taught us that stress causes ulcers. Right? And then we unlearned that. And we said, no, stress doesn't cause ulcers. H. pylori causes ulcers. Only H. pylori causes ulcers. Right? And then we just sort of like got stuck because now it turns out that there are multiple things that cause ulcers, not just H. pylori. So we're going to come back to that because I want to go through some like precursors of what an unlearning organization looks like. Ooh. And then we can apply that model to our lovely little stomach lining problem.
H. pylori thingy.
Yes, it sounds like a trip to Mars.
To be or not to be.
I took the H. pylori to Mars. It took me 13 parsecs. I ran.
It's such a wonderful word too. 9 parsecs. Parsec just makes me happy. I don't know why.
I don't think it was actually used correctly in Star Wars, but I probably don't know why. I think
just like Voldemort it's supposed to be Voldemort, but everyone says Voldemort. Okay. Anyways,
that's because of Americans.
Where were we? We were back.
Okay.
We took the Pylori.
What's important there? Yeah, we took the Pylori Expressway. So what's important here is this is like this is not a story about medicine being wrong and then right.
No, it isn't.
It's a story about single cause thinking in a multivariable system.
Yep.
And what happens when a valid insight gets encoded as a gate rather than a hypothesis? Right? Like insurance is like, oh, well, statistically speaking, it's going to be more correct. Then we don't actually care about the people that we're freaking killing because we're accountants and lawyers. Sorry, accountants and lawyers, but not really. I am solidly convinced, by the way, that nearly every evil thing in the world, usually I say every evil thing, but I'm feeling a little generous today. Nearly every evil thing in the world can go back to one of those two professions. Not saying that all of the people in those professions are evil, but that all evil can be traced back to those. Deb is dying. Sorry, guys. Okay.
I love you so much. I love your spicy takes. Oh, I love them.
Oh, Lord.
Give me a spicy
if anybody ever listens to this, they'll be like, oh my gosh. Okay. So there is a mechanism. There are 4 layers of an unlearning practice, which of course is not what anyone wants to hear because they want the magic pill, easy answer, TM.
It should just be a slide deck.
Like, just give me one question. Just give me the one question I have to ask. And if you know what, fine. If you want the one question that you have to ask, then the one question you have to ask is under what conditions? And I'm sorry that under what conditions creates 15 more questions and 6 more processes. Tough crap. Life is complicated. Wow, I am spicy today. What is going on?
Okay. I love it. Keep it coming. I want some Nicole with a side of spice.
Side, that is like mixed in. All right. 4 layers of unlearning practice.
Okay.
So, neurological.
Number 1.
Neurological. We've kind of talked about this, right? This is like the pathway thing.
Yep.
Right? It is metabolically. Oop, your camera just blinked out.
Oh, bucket. Hold on. Because I wasn't doing anything on my screen. You have me hypnotized by learning. She blinded me with science. Boop, boop, boop.
You got to pretend that you work in one of those corporations that's like
That
tracking
has one of
mouse
those.
jiggles.
Yeah.
Okay, so neurological. This is the pathway thing, and this matters because it is metabolically cheaper, which means like it costs us less energy to use an existing pathway than it does to build a new one. Not
Oh,
a character flaw. Basic neurobiology.
okay.
So
So route it to one of
unlearning.
your already existing paths.
Well, but sometimes the existing path doesn't work, right? So
Oh.
so this is one of those things that like corporations don't pay any attention to. If you want the like science here, listen, here's the sciencey part. The brain encodes learning through long-term potentiation. Repeated activation strengthens synaptic connections. The more you have used a belief, habit, or framework, the more myelinated and efficient that pathway becomes. So you put in freaking sidewalks, right? Or like some of that like paving rock
The
stuff.
repetition of it. The repetition
Yeah.
of it. The more
Yeah,
you use
right?
it.
So that's the first level, is this neurological level. Unlearning at this level works through inhibitory learning, not erasure. So construction of a competing pathway, that competing pathway gradually gains preferential routing. It only gains preferential routing if the new pathway is in fact better than the old one. This matters for change management. Like, I think my right eye just twitched.
You realize I'm sitting here going, on the condition that it's better than the other. Oh, like this
Okay,
explains
so this
the
is
failure of every single change.
right. Okay, so
Who is it better
the
for?
everyday
Is it
example
better
of
for the
this.
organization? Is it better for the spreadsheet? Is that what it's
And
better
you know what?
for?
It's and that's the question, right? Like, is who is
Yeah.
it better for? Does it even make sense? And so often the answer is like, no, it doesn't make sense. But
No.
let's pretend it does, right? So let's everyday example. You move to a new house.
Yes.
Your old house, your commute required a left turn out of your driveway. So you're used to positioning your car, you are used to turning left out of your driveway. Your new house requires a right turn. Every morning for weeks you have turned right. Right? You're like
Right.
that's just how your old house required.
Yep.
Now, you move into your new house, and before your brain has woken up, your hands have begun to turn that wheel in the direction you are used to turning.
Yep.
The new route exists. You know it. You know it's better. You prefer it when you're paying attention, but you have not yet accumulated enough repetitions for it to become automatic.
Yep.
So under stress or distraction, that old pathway takes over every single time.
Yep.
And makes you more stressed out because then you're mad at yourself for forgetting.
Yep.
So
it's a vicious
this
cycle.
matters. Yeah, this matters for corporations, right? Because stress is a direct reversal mechanism. Under threat, your brain preferentially activates the older pathway because the older pathway costs you less mental energy.
And it's grooved.
Means,
it's like deeply ingrooved. It's like this.
Yeah. It's
like
the water
trench.
that flows downhill. So that means that organizational change processes that increase pressure and uncertainty, which most do, are neurologically counterproductive to learning. What you need the ability to practice. You need low stakes repetition contexts. You cannot build a new neural pathway in conditions where every single use of the new approach carries high consequences for errors. Yeah. Psychological safety is not a soft, cushy, cultural nicety. It is a neurological prerequisite for unlearning.
I was right. I didn't know the science behind it, but I knew it.
I mean, but if you can't say the words, then you don't count. Oh, wow.
Evidently, according to the corporate world, yes, I don't count because even though I've been screaming psychological safety,
it doesn't fit on the spreadsheet yet. We can't measure it. It's incommensurable, and it's
we can't measure it. Oh God!
I mean, you can measure it. It's just measuring with
I
thick
assert
math, and
that
we
can measure it. We can measure it in how many of the AI training programs that they implemented that have been effective. That's how we can measure it.
Yes. But then they'll just like say there's other reasons why they failed.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the neurological, like, right? Like
that's the one. That's
new pathways
the one.
Cost you, yeah.
There's three more.
Yeah, so there's
So,
3 more. So,
okay.
number 2,
Number 2.
cognitive, which is different from neurological,
Ooh, 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 you're right.
right?
Ooh, ooh, man, my brain's going because the brain is different from the mind. It took me a long time to figure that one out. Like the brain is the organ, but the mind is the mind.
Yeah, right. So the neurological are the pathways. The
Yep.
cognitive is how the pathways relate to each other. It's the schema
Ah,
in which you store knowledge, right? So because knowledge is not discrete facts, knowledge is interconnected network of beliefs and connections and interpretations
and
that give
meaning.
incoming information its meaning,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Okay. So
Neurological
when you encounter
cognitive.
something new, brain automatically processes it through the existing knowledge, the existing schema.
Uh,
Information that contradicts your existing schema tends to be distorted to fit, dismissed as irrelevant, or just not heard at all. Right?
this is
Selective
my life.
learning.
This is my life. You told me that? I have no memory of that.
So, cognitive unlearning requires accommodation, it requires scaffolding, it requires
Some sort of structure.
help, right? Okay.
Oh. Oh,
So,
scaffolding, like
here's
how
my
assistance.
here's my everyday example.
Okay.
You have your grandpa's pasta sauce recipe. You've made it your entire adult life. You don't
Mm,
measure, you just cook.
it just feels right.
One day, one day, your friend who learned to cook pasta 2 years ago is watching you make your recipe, and they ask you, "Why do you add sugar there?" And you just sort of freeze because you're like, "Well, that's just
That's the
you've just
recipe.
always added sugar. You learned it by watching. You never ask why they added sugar."
No, you just do it.
And then
Because
you
if
look it
you
up.
want the result of the pasta sauce that you love, you put that in there,
So
right?
now you look it up. And the sugar was compensating for the higher acidity of canned tomatoes in 1960. Current tomatoes don't need it. That sugar is actually making your sauce slightly flat. You're just used to it. The issue is not that you lacked information, it's that the why was never part of what you learned. You
How
encoded
was
the
it?
behavior without encoding its conditions. And now think of how often in organizations people learn how to do something, but they don't learn why they do it.
That drives me nuts. I always have to know the why. This used to get me into so much trouble because I would always ask, but why? And they'd be like, that's the way we do it. That's the way it's always been done. That's the way we've learned. That's the way.
It's like, okay, but like, why do you do it? And again, going back to my, if you can only ask one question, under what conditions?
Under what conditions?
Okay, layer three,
Oh, oh, wow.
or 3 layers, and
Neurological,
they're not
cognitive.
nested. Relational.
Woo!
This is the identity and social problem. So
Ah.
knowledge is not stored individually, it is held relationally, distributed across communities of practice, professional identities, social role, and status
Oh, you're
systems.
giving me chills. You're giving me
What
chills. You're
you
giving me
know,
chills.
you need a sweater when we talk, Deb.
Yeah. No, it's what, like, seriously, what I'm thinking of is I'm thinking of it like I'm taking it to a different place. I'm taking it like hive mind or like the people around you hold that as well. But you're actually talking about the moment when you're learning it because I can remember
Mm.
just
No,
no, it
you're right. You're right.
yeah.
You're pulling it like you're grabbing the right
I'm
things.
getting in the neighborhood.
All right. So, what you know is inseparable from who you are in a given social context. Your expertise is your currency, your credibility, and your position. When a framework that you have built your career on is threatened, what is under attack is not just an idea, it is your standing, your identity, and your belonging to a professional community.
Oh,
This is why highly competent, intelligent people can actually be the most resistant to unlearning because they have the most invested in the existing framework and the most to lose.
Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You just explained so much in just like 2 sentences. What the dickens? Like, seriously. Oh my God. So is this why people still believe in pro-sci and all those other change management things, even though they're like basically crap?
I mean, okay, that's a little unfair to pro sci. It's
Okay,
not
I'm
crap.
sorry.
It's just shallow.
That is such a I love the way you said it's shallow.
It is. I mean, come on.
I'm sorry, I'm
Like,
thinking of like Valley Girl. So shallow. And now
I mean,
I'm
I did
thinking
go
of
see
that
No Doubt this
song
weekend.
with Lady Gaga and what's his face? Shallow.
Oh, Bradley something.
Going into shallow. Sorry, okay. Sorry, it's shallow. Got it. So we got wait. We got neurological, we've got cognitive, we got relational, right? But the
Yes.
relational one explains so freaking much to me. So
Yes.
much.
And unlearning at the relational level requires identity safety. So the assurance that revising a framework will not cost you your status, credibility, or belonging can't be generated by individual willingness alone. It requires
Yeah.
organizational conditions that make public uncertainty and framework revision not only not penalized, but actively socially rewarded. So, where those conditions don't exist, unlearning doesn't solidify and the organizational defaults just sort of calcify further.
Ha! Wait, can I ask you a question? And this is just how my
Yeah.
brain is trying to think because I'm trying to picture this. So 4, right? Now I want to go 4 like this, but is it 4 like this or does that even matter?
So I feel like it's kind of more of a like an earth with like a core and then
Ooh.
like so that like sort of interior neurological is like the magma. That's like the least
It's
conscious,
the
the most
it's the
like
magma.
it's the
No,
magma.
you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of a microphone. So microphone has this little force field around it, right? Called the
Mhm.
trim, right? And if I sing way too fucking loud, so of course they always have to put the trim down when I get up to the microphone because otherwise I'll blast it away. So the neurological is the core, and then the other ones are around it, not
Mhm.
necessarily scaffolded like hierarchical, but around it. So it's kind of
Yeah.
3D, is what you're saying to me.
Yeah, kind of. I'm
Okay,
not
all
sure that
right,
there's a
that
good
works.
model for it, but that's
Okay,
probably the
maybe
closest. I mean,
maybe you
they're all
should make a model.
related. They're not really hierarchical. They're not really like they're too interconnected to like put in order side to side. I don't know,
Yeah.
my hand's not showing, but like it's okay. So the last one is structural. It's the system
Ooh.
problem.
Ooh.
This, by the way, is like some of this is why I was mean to pro sci and called adcar shallow. um there are other reasons why I'm mean to it occasionally, but I was fair. I didn't let you be as mean as you were going to be, right? I like gave it some like minor defense, unlike the lawyers and accountants. Um, okay.
And the doctors. You forgot the doctors there.
No, the doctors are the victims in this system.
Oh, they
Like,
are. So okay, so
oh
because
yeah,
I thought you
no.
said
Can you
doctors and
imagine like that?
lawyers
Okay,
earlier.
so Deb, I want you
So
to
it's
imagine
lawyers and
that we told
accountants that are
lawyers.
the evil. It's lawyers and accountants
Yeah,
that are the evil ones. Okay, got it. Okay.
yeah.
I mean,
No,
not
I
the
want you to
people, the
imagine.
profession.
Yeah, I want you to imagine that we send lawyers to law school to be lawyers,
Right.
and then we said, you know what? You guys are just so fucking wasteful. And so we're going to appoint this physician to oversee your legal practice. And they're going to tell you when the decisions you're making are harming people. And so, we just need to put some guardrails around your practice because you can be impractical. Like it would never fly, right? Like no one would ever put a physician in charge of a legal practice. And yet all
No.
day, every day, we put lawyers in charge of medical practice.
Wow.
And
You
whereas
know
we put
what?
accountants
I've
who
never questioned
literally
it.
just like don't even think of people as people. They're just numbers.
I have never even questioned it. And now you're like blowing my brain. Like it's like, boo. Yeah. Okay. Keep going. So we got our
I mean,
4,
it's a
right?
system that's caused a lot of harm.
We got
Yeah.
our
So the fourth one is
neurological,
structural, the
cognitive,
system problem.
relational, and structural, the system, the OS, the operating system.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So the mechanism.
Mm.
Organizations encode their knowledge in routines, protocols, approval criteria, job descriptions, incentive structures, information flows, and decision architectures. Not just habits. They are crystallized logic of past learning locked into infrastructure. So, like when we talked about the H. pylori, and I said, now your insurance won't even approve this, like the
Yeah.
gold standard test, unless you do this other one. And like, if you treat and you don't fail treatment, then they're like, oh, it's fine, you're fine. So even after individuals have successfully revised their own frameworks, like they understand the new way. They are doing the new way. Like they believe the new way. They're like ready for the new way. They've like updated their identities. Like all those other things are ready. The things that the organization has, if they haven't been changed, it's still going to keep pushing people back to that old path, right? It's
Oh
kind of
my
like if you
God.
like didn't build a new path, or like, the old path was still like much easier, right? So here's the everyday example. Your organization genuinely wants people to experiment and move fast on new ideas. Leadership says
Supposedly.
it. No. Leadership says it. They mean it. And then you try to run a small experiment requiring $400 in tools in 2 days of a colleague's time. You submit the request, it goes to a manager, then to finance, then back because it crossed some threshold, then a different budget category. And now this person reports to a different manager, and it goes back and forth, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then the approval window expired. So you had to do the whole damn thing again. 6 weeks later, the experiment is moot. Nobody in the approval train was trying to block the innovation. Every
No.
single step made sense within its own logic. The
Yes.
approval process was designed for a model where control and risk reduction was the primary value and never revised when the stated values changed. Structure is running on the old framework. The people inside it are trying to operate on a new one. The
And they
structure will
can't.
win every single time.
Every single
This is
freaking
this
time.
this systems part is the part that so many organizations, I mean, they overlook the true cognitive demands of change, the energy demands, the safety demands, like
Yep.
the identity demands. They overlook those like
But they don't even like
people feely
structurally
parts.
it's
Yeah.
not even anywhere near it. It's like it's the foundation. And
Yeah.
why would you question the foundation?
Yeah.
Like that's
Well, and this is
literally
like,
what they're
so structural unlearning requires the ability to adapt locally, like in small pieces,
uh-huh.
without full systemic revision, right? So like I need to be able, like if finance is trying something new, you need to be able to try the something new in finance without affecting everything for everybody else until you get the chance to like learn from the thing you've learned, right? Like you get to
Yeah.
like try the experiment, assess the outcomes. Like it's difficult to even run a pilot test in some of these organizations
No, you can't.
because there's no structure to support it, and there's a whole lot of things that undermine it.
A
So
freaking man. And the path of least resistance is just to fucking give in and not even try the experiment.
yeah, well, and the thing, it's kind of funky because like you've probably seen this working with other organizations too. Like it's so much easier to add a new thing than it is to take away an old thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Cause you like, how do you advertise? Like, we're gonna take this away. But like anytime you subtract something, I think just in general, we're like, wait a minute, you're taking something away, unless it's something that's really super painful and that's causing
Yeah.
you like constant pain. You're
Well,
gonna resist it.
and this kind of like reactivates that whole identity piece too, right? Because if you're
Yeah,
taking something away, it's like, well, what about the work I've been doing for like the last 15
yeah,
years? Like,
that's
was that just
worthless.
meaningless?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So, but the layers aren't sequential. They interact with each other, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And an intervention at one layer without the others produces a predictable failure.
yeah.
So if you do the neurological work without the cognitive work, they build the new behaviors while the underlying like thought process stays intact.
And the
New behaviors
relationships are
brittle,
like, "What are
collapses.
you
Yep.
doing, you weirdo? Why are you doing that?" Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, I mean, you like then you're like, "Oh, what's wrong with Deb? Like, what's she doing over there? Like, is she gonna break things? And who's in charge of that?" Yeah, right? Um, okay. So, unlearning is complete when the new behavior is neurologically automatic, The underlying framework, the thought piece, has genuinely reconstructed. The social context rewards the new framework,
Uh-huh.
and the systems around it reinforce it rather than undermining it.
Well,
Anything short of all four layers is partial unlearning, better than nothing, but unstable under pressure.
so basically, every single change management thing that's been done in any corporation since the beginning of time is partial unlearning.
For the most part, I mean, I don't know that I'd say every single one, right? Like if you switched from like Windows to Mac, probably it's fine. Although even then you're gonna have someone who's like, but I can't use Publisher on Mac. Except that Microsoft retired Publisher, so that example doesn't actually work.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw a wrench in that. But no, but I mean it. You've blown my mind. Now, I want to ask you, how many people know what you just laid on me? Like understand those four, like how many people do you think are aware of that?
I don't have a Deb, you know how I feel about questions that I don't have an accurate answer to? I don't have a way to estimate
Measure.
that I
Yeah.
feel is reliable. I mean,
Yeah.
I think people and also like what do you mean by no, right? Because everything I just told you is something you have felt. Wow, that accent just popped right back up. I am tired. Everything that I have told you is something you have felt at some point,
Yeah.
but maybe didn't have the words for. And so I think the knowledge, like the sort of core level,
because you know I'm going to remember
makes
this
sense.
Because you repeated it enough and you let me go through all that I am going to remember. I know I may not be able to reliably name what they are, but I'm visually going to see
Like the
that.
seven. It's the seven dwarfs problem, right? Like I can't. There's always one I forget.
Sleepy Steve.
And now I'm going to mess with you even more because I gave you 4 layers and there's 10 specific conditions that are required to build an organization that builds unlearning into its operating logic. So,
but I want to know. I want to know.
Well, because now because then we can like go back and like fix H. pylori, right? Okay, so
you thought it was a podcast. We're saving the world,
or at least stomachs. Safe places to practice. Number 1. We kind of talked about this, right? Like you need low stakes repetition context where people can run new behaviors without high consequences for imperfection. Right? Psychological safety, neurological prerequisite, not just a nice to have thing that some chief HR officers don't believe in. We won't say who. The brain will not voluntarily abandon an efficient old pathway in conditions where the new one carries threat. So if I rope off that little like grassy area and say you can't walk here, but the new sidewalk has freaking alligators on it, I'm just going to walk over your fence. Or I'm going to find a different way, a workaround to not use the new sidewalk and not like walk through the fence. Right?
Yes. I love that you picked alligators. That's awesome.
I lived in Florida for 11 years. They show up way more than you expect them to, actually. I got to tell you, my childhood prepared me for quicksand. It did not prepare me for the prevalence of alligators.
Oh my God. The fact that I know to like the nth degree how to save myself from quicksand, but would not have any freaking clue what to do in the presence of an alligator just shows you the crappiness of our education system.
They might both involve sticks. Okay. 2, social norms around practice, failure, and revision. Relational layer requires that publicly revising a framework is treated as a demonstration of competence rather than a loss of credibility. So the norm shift is really specific. Expertise is redefined from certainty to precision about the limits of your own knowledge.
Ooh, I like that.
I just realized I just demonstrated that, right? Like when you asked me how many people, and I was like, I don't have the information that I need to know that.
And so you were being honest about like, and you weren't going to give me a number you didn't know. And I freaking love that because it's honesty. Like, why wouldn't we be honest when we don't know? Why?
Because too much of our identity is built around knowing. I mean, that just kind of is what it is, right? Organizations that don't build this norm explicitly produce underground unlearning. So individuals who are privately sort of revising their knowledge while
underground
publicly performing
unlearning
the old framework.
Oh, I love
right?
that.
It sounds like there's like a skate park in there. Okay. So, but that's sort of like, like publicly performing an old framework, but privately doing something different. Like
Yeah.
that creates the, like, the way we say it versus the way we do it dynamic.
Uh-huh.
And that's one of
Which
the things. Okay.
just keeps reading. Yeah, anyways, okay.
Teaching the why behind knowledge. So like you're
Mm,
seeing like how these kind of line up with the different ones, right? People need to know not just what to do, but under what conditions it works. So
yep.
they have an internal signal when conditions change,
Yep.
right? Oh, it's cold outside. My shorts don't work. My son is missing that signal, by the way. It is freezing today. I am in a sweater and he is wearing shorts and a t-shirt. So it's a curriculum and an onboarding problem as much as it is a culture problem.
Yeah.
Organizations that transmit practice without transmitting conditions produce experts who cannot identify when their expertise no longer applies. This one is the one that matters. Like, this is the one that, like, we don't do and don't really have a current framework for doing: an explicit inspection practice.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
when we think about knowledge, there is, like, think of it like materials, right? Because, like, there is the strength of the material. Paper is not as strong as wood. Fiberboard is not as strong as wood. Wood is not as strong as granite. And so, like, say I built a really lovely table out of wood. That's knowledge. That's good, strong, sturdy knowledge.
Yeah.
But the environment matters. So my hardwood table is going to survive much longer inside my climate-controlled house than it would if I go stuck it in the middle of the woods and
there
let
was
it
a
be
forest
exposed
fire
to,
that came through and
yeah, right? Or like the freezing and thawing
yeah.
cycles and, like, the
Yeah.
various
And it
animals that
cracks
live
and yeah.
there and, like, mites and
And
termites or
termites and
whatever. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. I
Okay.
gotcha.
So, explicit inspection process, a scheduled, structured habit of asking, what are we treating as load bearing right now? What is it made of? And what conditions is it sitting in? Without scheduling it,
Oh.
inspection only happens reactively after something breaks.
Oh my
The
God, it's so
organization,
true.
right? The organization needs a regular institutionalized rhythm of walking the structure before crisis forces it, applied to policies,
See, I'm thinking
protocols,
of a
approval
stoplight. I'm thinking of the
criteria,
red, green,
and
and red.
foundational
Yeah.
assumptions,
Yeah. Red, yellow, and
not
green.
just individual beliefs, right? So it needs that, like, structural piece too, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
inspect the structure.
Yeah.
Active retirement practices. Organizations are structurally very good at adding and almost completely unable to subtract. An unlearning organization needs explicit mechanisms for retiring outdated frameworks, processes, and assumptions, not just replacing them and letting them quietly atrophy over in the corner. When things are
What
not
would that look
explicit.
like? Can you give me an example of that? I'm
So
sorry, I didn't mean to throw it
let's
on you.
think about, like, approval frameworks, or a good one,
Okay.
right? So, like, if
Yep.
I have introduced Concur, and Concur is like the approval framework, and I'm like, okay, like, everything has to route through this.
Yep.
But everyone really knows that the way to get to Deb is to send Nicole an email, and then Nicole will, like, poke at Deb, because that's the way it's always been done. And Deb refuses to learn Concur, right? But if we haven't explicitly retired it and it's now, like, illegal for Nicole to go talk to Deb or whatever, like, it has to be like, I mean, that's a really simplistic example, but
No, but it
basically,
makes
like, you like get
sense.
rid of the old, so that, and you explicitly and out loud get rid of the
Yeah.
old, so
Yeah.
that the new settles in, and, like, you reward the new, right? Okay. Distributed inspection authority. So remember, we're inspecting things, right?
Oh, there's gonna
But
be
we've
so
all
many people
worked.
who aren't gonna like that. No, 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 no,
Oh
no. You're
yeah,
taking
no,
some
because
control away from some peeps. Yeah, they ain't gonna like that.
well, we're closing some feedback loops. So, most obvious function is ensuring that the people closest to where the framework breaks down, all those frontline workers and cross-functional people who live in the daily friction, have actual authority to surface signals, not just a suggestion box.
No. Why would we do that? Because they know what's
All right.
actually happening.
So, well, but here's an interesting thing, because it also, so people at the higher level who have the decision authority not understanding, like, where friction is showing up, can happen a couple of different ways. It could be like succession reorgs, that sort of, like, erosion of institutional memory that happens,
Yep.
right?
Like when you lay off a whole bunch of people
So
and you don't transfer their knowledge.
yeah. So that's the kind of thing that happens like when someone from the front line surfaces a question and the answer they receive is because that's the policy, or a really confident, completely historically inaccurate explanation that got constructed after the fact to save people's ego. We won't, that's a thing. So the other thing though that happens is sometimes people on the front line actually don't know why the process exists, right? So they can't recognize that the
Yep.
conditions made it necessary have changed.
Yep.
So they interpret the mounting friction, the workarounds, the edge cases, the awkwardness as a problem with their own execution, or as the unwillingness of leadership to listen to them. So, like, having that distributed inspection authority means that people, frontline and otherwise, have the authority to ask, under what conditions is this true? And are those conditions still present? And that has to live at every level of the chain in both
Yeah.
directions.
Yeah.
Downward in the form of honest transmission of why you're doing something, including honest acknowledgement when the why has been lost, and upward in the form of genuine authority to surface when conditions no longer match. So that me saying to you, hey, this isn't working, or hey, we've had these like 15 edge cases, is not treated as,
Like,
oh my God,
oh,
we gotta
someone's a
freaking fix
disgruntled
Nicole.
worker. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah, right. Step 7 of building your unlearning organization: disconfirmation infrastructure. Built-in mechanisms that surface contradiction as a routine information source, not a crisis. So red teams, structured dissent protocols, cross-functional review processes, external perspectives brought in to specifically find boundary conditions.
You're giving me chills again. Oh!
I told you need a sweater. Without infrastructure for this, disconfirmation only happens accidentally. Accidental disconfirmation is too late and too threatening to produce clean unlearning. Onboarding. Onboarding is a wonderful time to do some assumption archaeology. It's alliterative. It's fun. New people in organizations are given context for what to do and often the proximate why. Almost never are they given the deeper history. The practice exists because of a specific problem we had in a specific environment, and here is what that environment looked like. That gap means new people either accept practices uncritically, no inspection capacity, or reject them as arbitrary, no buy-in. Organizations that include assumption archaeology produce employees who are capable of recognizing when the conditions that produce the practice have changed, which helps with that disconfirmation infrastructure and the distributed authority to inspect, right? These all kind of build together. Number 9, tolerance for the gap state.
Oh, girlfriend, yeah. Oh, God. People cannot handle the gap state. They cannot frickin' handle the gap state. They can't do it. They can't.
Because it looks like incompetence, right? It looks like incompetence and it produces performance dips.
Because it's uncomfortable. And people don't like to be, I know this because I am one of them, and I consciously have to make myself comfortable with being uncomfortable to be able to live in the gap state, which is where I've been living for years.
Yep.
With limited, with success sometimes, Oh my God.
So now we should define the gap state for the people who didn't immediately know exactly what I was talking about. So, because I mean, many of you who are listening, well, because you've been listening to us and you are your own thinkers. But between unlearning an old framework and having a new one fully functional, there's the gap state, the period of genuine uncertainty when the old approach has been retired and the new one isn't yet automatic, right? Like I can't take that path, but I still sort of like stutter when I try to take this new one.
Oh God, and everything
I'm not
takes
sure about
so
it.
long.
I'm not sure it's good.
So yeah, it takes so much longer than I'm used to. And I'm like, am I doing it right? I don't know.
Yeah. So let's go back to H. pylori. We are at our hour, by the way. But,
was that our 10? Was that the 10? Okay, so here's the deal. You're going to have to send me these or point me to where you found them because now I need to see them.
I should send them to you and then we can make it like into a little like document things and we can give it away in the show notes.
Yay!
Okay. So
Pressies.
H, right? H. pylori.
Yes.
So here's how the H. pylori situation, specifically the growing problem of H. pylori negative ulcers, would be handled differently if medical institutions applied the 10 conditions. And I want to point out that medical institutions do, in fact, apply some of these conditions, but accountants and lawyers do not. So, really, this would be handled differently if insurance companies applied the 10 conditions, but insurance companies are all owned by a bunch of private equity jerk faces. So, yeah, okay, we're going to stay away from that because that's its own whole episode. If they were teaching the why, medical training would teach not just test and treat as a protocol, it would teach the conditions under which test and treat is appropriate, the epidemiological distribution that causes that the protocol was designed for, the patient populations it was validated in, and the circumstances under which it produces incomplete diagnosis.
Yep.
Insurance would also have a way to deal with this. That knowledge gives practitioners an internal signal when a case doesn't fit the protocol's intended population. Explicit inspection practice. Clinical guidelines would have built-in review triggers, not just scheduled periodic updates, but specific epidemiological signals that automatically prompt re-examination.
Yep.
As the proportion of H. pylori negative ulcers climbs in the data, that drift would
Then
be a named
we'd
threshold
be looking
that would
into
trigger
that.
it. Yeah, not an anomaly managed case by case. The inspection question would be, what are the conditions this protocol was built for, and is that distribution still active?
Yeah.
Active retirement. When test and treat protocol is updated to account for the negative presentations, update would include not just add a new pathway, it would explicitly retire the assumption that H. pylori negative equals case closed.
Yep.
Naming it, communicating to the clinical community, updating training curricula, and flagging it to insurance criteria writers simultaneously.
Yep.
Not layering new guidance on top of old guidance and hoping the old guidance stops being followed. Distributed inspection authority, gastroenterologists and primary care physicians who are seeing those negative ulcer cases that aren't resolving would have a formal low friction mechanism for servicing that pattern, not as individual case reports, but as aggregated clinical signal. The people closest to the failure have authority to initiate a protocol inspection, and the people overseeing the protocol would be able to answer, honestly, this protocol was built when H. pylori positive cases represented X% of the presentations. Here is what has changed, and here is what we don't yet know about the cases it misses. Disconfirmation infrastructure, insurance approval criteria, clinical guidelines, and epidemiological surveillance systems would be structurally linked, not operating as separate institutions with separate update cycles. I mean, you can kind of see how it goes, right? Like
I can
assumption
totally
archaeology,
see.
Medical students and residents would learn the history. Here's what we believe before. Like, it would not just be like the sort of curiosity, but it would be an active tool for knowing what to inspect.
Exactly.
Being able to tolerate the gap state, like you would have a way for saying, we don't yet have a validated protocol for this presentation. Here's what we know.
But in the meantime, since you're in pain, we're going to do this.
Right. You would have a way to navigate the meantime.
Exactly.
And then, so yeah, like that's kind of like it just, the people who have that experience, who are H. pylori negative and have an ulcer, the patient would have a different experience. If their physician is trained to hold a negative test as a data point, not a case closure, the clinical encounter includes questions about NSAID use, physiological stress history, and other contributing factors, which it still does, right? I mean, like, again, being fair to the physicians, this is not a physician problem. This is an insurance problem.
Well, pretty much everything can go back to being an insurance problem. We already know that.
So I feel like we hung out in medical world for a long time, and it might be helpful in 10 minutes, because we have to go, to hang out in business world.
Yep.
So I'm going to give you 4 different cases, and we'll talk about how they're unlearning failures, but I'm going to let you choose which one we talk about.
Ooh.
So Kodak, old favorite. Blockbuster, 90s nostalgia. Nokia, early 2000s nostalgia. Sears, far older than me nostalgia.
Oh, you know, the one that I'm attracted to is Blockbuster, because that was such a big part of, my early adult years, like every Friday, I'd go to Leanne Chin, get some lemon chicken, some cheese puffs, and then I'd head over to Blockbuster and pick up a couple movies for the weekend, you know? So,
Okay.
I mean, and it's just weird to think that there are entire people who will never have ever experienced a
A
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Like, that was a whole
Okay.
experience. It was like a whole trip. It
Oh,
was
it
a
was.
whole
I worked at a Blockbuster for a while. I quit, and the night later, my manager got stabbed. Yeah, it was a
That's a
thing.
story you're gonna
Okay.
tell me later.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was really tragic, and I felt awful for him, but also that Blockbuster was super freaking sketch, and I quit because I felt really skeezed out by, like, this guy who had been around, like, every single night, like, for a while, and I was like, "This guy is, like, up to no good, and I don't, like, trust him," and yeah, it was a problem. Anyways, so, generic story. The story we've been told about Blockbuster. Blockbuster laughed Netflix out of the room in 2000.
Is that
It was
true or
offered
is
to
it
them to sell for 50 million. Oh yeah, no, it's true. Like
it
they
is
in
true.
fact like were offered to buy Netflix for $50 million. They
Yep.
laughed him out of the room and then they died.
Yep.
Now, it's time to be fair to Blockbuster and its good old gold and yellow colors. When Netflix approached Blockbuster in 2000, Netflix was a DVD by mail subscription service.
Mhm.
For those of you who are too young to know what DVDs are, look it up on TikTok. I don't have time for this.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I got that through Netflix DVDs in the mail.
24 was one of the first things I watched on DVD.
Oh
Anyways,
my
in the mail.
god.
Okay. Streaming did not exist as a consumer product.
Nope.
And in fact, the internet sucked so badly you couldn't have pulled off streaming. Right? Like I don't exactly. You could hardly open like 5 web pages, like like two
You wanted
heavily
to
indexed
open one
Netscape pages.
JPEG. A JPEG would take an hour to load on your screen.
Yeah, no. So like streaming was not a thing. So the decision Blockbuster made was whether to pay $50 million for a money-losing DVD by mail business.
Yep.
The framework of physical retail economics with the infrastructure of 2000, that was a defensible position. They were
Yeah.
not stupid.
No.
Netflix had a real structural disadvantage. No instant gratification, no browsing,
Nope.
shipping delays, shipping losses.
Yep.
Blockbuster's store network was a genuinely better product by the criteria available at the time.
Yep.
The actual unlearning failure was not the acquisition decision. It was these two things. Netflix's no late fee subscription model was a direct signal that customers would pay specifically to eliminate the friction and penalty that Blockbuster's entire financial model depended on. Late fees were not incidental to Blockbuster's business. By the way, fun fact, I got reported to a credit agency for a Blockbuster late fee when I was 19 years old. They were a major revenue line. The signal available in 2000 was not streaming is coming. It was customers hate our business model enough to pay a subscription to escape it. The signal was available. It was not acted on because they thought they had a captive audience.
Yeah, they thought they had it.
The second failure is more telling. When Blockbuster finally launched its own competitive no late fee subscription program in 2004 and 5, it was working. It was actually competitive. And then Blockbuster's own board reversed the policy because the short-term revenue hit from eliminating late fees was too painful for a system optimized around that revenue. They saw the signal, built the correct response, and then the structural layer dismantled the response because the organization could not tolerate the transition cost. That's the unlearning failure. And what's also fascinating is like Blockbuster's entire business was built around this physical model.
Yeah.
And so the physical
It was an experience. It was an
right?
experience.
With the experience of going in, also like one being close to your house, right?
Yeah.
And so like you started to see like Redbox and even like the like Blockbuster version of Redbox like starting to pop up, right? Because like this whole idea that the physical experience mattered. And that was a true signal. But if you don't have routine evaluation of the what you know, right? Like I know this and I know this under these conditions. When the internet became more reliable. And when broadband became more distributed across the general population, if you had an unlearning system where you were continually evaluating the conditions you were operating under,
Yep.
then you are primed, like Netflix was, to say, hey, we have physical DVDs, but now we also have streaming. Because Netflix's product was entertainment and they were not attached to the delivery mechanism of that entertainment. Also where Sears went wrong, by the way. It's like,
Because they were
the big
they were attached to the physical stores rather than.
yeah, because like, Sears invented catalog sales.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Invented
true.
it, right? If anybody should have been able to like glom on to the internet and like distribution and like be able to take advantage of that, it should have been Sears. Their competitive asset was the catalog. But here's what's funny. For decades, far older than my parents are, Sears shipped goods to customers who were not near physical retail. They were filling orders across a full range of product categories.
Yeah.
Huge.
It's basically the internet range. Except with paper.
Yeah. Right? Physical retail stores are constrained by shelf space economics. Yep. You stock what turns fast enough to justify the square footage it takes up. That creates this sort of permanent filter. The products that get shelf space are already popular enough to earn it. Everything else, the obscure tool, the specialty part, the niche category item, those things that only 0.3% of people want are invisible to physical retail. Yeah. But if you think about it, 0.3% of the entire fucking country is a massive number. Yeah. No single location can justify stocking that, but a central warehouse that can ship, right?
Giggity,
so
giggity.
Like Sears had solved this problem. Like the long, like they call that the long tail, right?
Yeah.
It didn't have a name at the time, right? They shut it down, not because catalog retail was dying, but because the internal framework had reclassified it as a cost center that served the stores rather than the foundational capability the stores were built to extend. So they kept the stores. They retired the catalog. Right before, the internet made the catalog model the dominant form of retail in human history.
So is your theory, or not theory, but is your assertion that it was unlearning on the part of these institutions, like their lack of being able to unlearn?
Yeah,
that caused that.
Remember, I told you if you can only pick one question, the question to pick is under which conditions?
Under which conditions? Under
right?
which conditions?
Like if you ask what are my assumptions, that's step one. But a lot of people stop there. They don't check under which conditions those assumptions stop holding. Kodak is my most famous case of this, right? Like if your entire business is based around the physical production of photographs, you are basically running a chemistry business, right?
Yeah.
That's their core model, right? Like they are not running a camera business, right?
No.
A camera and a screen is what a digital camera is.
Yeah.
But that still required the chemistry when it first came out.
Yep.
Right? Because you just you took digital pictures, but then you had them printed.
Yeah.
It was only when photography stopped being about the physical product and became about the ability to share, and the digital product mattered more, that Kodak collapsed.
Yeah.
So again, an unlearning organization would have asked in the early 1990s, what are the conditions that make our chemistry and printing business valuable? Yep. And are those conditions permanent or contingent? That question leads directly to the answer. They are contingent on photography requiring physical output.
Yes.
And the infrastructure that was assembling in front of them. I mean,
and if they would have had those constant checks, and if they would have had that,
And what's funny is you often use Netscape as your example. And I remember being required my freshman year of college to build my own Netscape website. And like, and then the next step from
And most
that,
people have
like,
no idea what
was,
you talk about when you say Netscape. They're like, Netscape? What the hell is that? I'm like, I still remember it.
but it's, I mean, like it was, I mean, it's, people don't remember LiveJournal or MySpace or any of those either, but
Oh
like
God, I remember those
the
too.
ability to have this sort of like digital photo album of your life very easily. I mean, it was not hard to build a Netscape website.
Yeah.
And, then like when it was like, oh, but what if we made them like all connected and talk to each other easily and you could like just like look up by name. Now you have MySpace, right? What if we made like a whole network of blogs, like instead of it just being, like here's this person's blog and here's this person's blog, like what if we put them all together? Oh, here's MySpace. Oh, people have no tolerance to read for more than 3 lines. Let's make Twitter. Right? Like but each of these things like disappeared on assumptions that they failed to unlearn.
Yeah.
And they didn't have this like under which conditions does it matter. And I guess we have learned that we can talk for an hour and 15 minutes and just
Well,
keep
no, but
going.
what I love about this, Nicole, is that most of the business knowledge which is not much, let's just be honest. I don't have a lot of business knowledge. But I would have thought, well, wasn't there someone looking at strategy and keeping their eye on what's happening in the future? But that isn't really it. It really is constantly unlearning. It isn't necessarily.
Yeah, because
I
you have
mean,
to like be
there's an
comfortable with
aspect
checking
of
your assumptions.
yeah. I mean, there's an aspect of strategy, obviously, because once again, it's the conditions, the context in which your business is occurring. Of course, you're going to be keeping an eye on that and looking. But I think so many companies, well, first of all, you and I have already talked about this, how they have no strategy. They're all quarter based, like they don't think beyond 3 quarters in the future, if that, or they try to, and it's a joke because they're not really doing anything beyond that. They're not thinking long term. They think they are, but they're not. But really, if they turn the perception on themselves, the rigor that
What do
they
I know and
show,
why do I know it?
yes, and the rigor that they show towards avoiding risk and actually turn that rigor on looking at themselves.
Well, I mean, and so many of the frameworks for risk evaluation that we have today were built in stable environments.
Yep.
And because that's kind of how organizational knowledge works, right? Like if you
We've got
advise
time to think
someone to
about risk right now because we're not in urgent mode.
yeah, but also like if you think about how things get implanted in organizations, like they come through experience you've had in other organizations or they come through recommendation by a consultant. And so like basically something has to have existed for a while, have been proven to work, and then it like sort of begins to circulate.
Yep.
In a stable environment, knowledge is your greatest asset. In a shifting environment, unexamined knowledge is your greatest liability because it keeps working right up until the moment the floor breaks underneath you.
Okay, that was a mic drop. You need to make sure that that's included in this thing because that was a fucking mic drop right
we
there.
we just post it like done.
Oh, we just the whole
So,
thing. Okay, cool. So the
yeah,
fact that I cussed at least 4 times in this episode,
I
tough
didn't
luck.
count.
There's no bleeping. No bleeping.
Nope.
Deb
No
dropping
bleeping.
F-bombs left and right.
All the cusses, all the laughs, everything's there.
Unfiltered, uncensored.
Ooh, we should add that. Unfiltered, uncensored, unedited.
This is true. It's totally true. Except for me occasionally trying to censor myself when I let something slip. I'm like, oh.
So I think let's end on okay. So the thing that is really cool about this, and I actually shared it with Deb, but the thing that is really cool about understanding the way the human brain unlearns is that it is actually mirrored in the way AI, which I put in quotes for those of you who can't see me, unlearns. Similar to the human brain, unless you rebuild the entire model, like you start from scratch, which no one does because it's expensive, costs $1 billion, literally, not making that number up. You can't actually just like take out the old thing and replace it with a new piece of knowledge. You have to teach it the new thing over and over and over and over and over again until statistically it becomes weighted in a way that it becomes the new dominant path. So just like your brain has to run the new thing over and over and over again and get like the repetition and like, build the muscle memory and build the brain memory, AI has to do the same thing. And so it doesn't actually truly unlearn anything. And when certain conditions reappear that make that old way more statistically likely, it will show back up. So you can't unlearn in your real brain. You can't unlearn in your fake brain. But unlearning as a field is a real thing, even though it's poorly named. That's my summary. That's my like 3 sentence.
So
What is
is there an
unlearning?
unlearning? Is there an unlearning like
Oh yeah. I mean, I
discipline?
remember reading so it shows up in several disciplines. It shows up in philosophy, like I said, Socrates, like himself,
Yep.
just the Socratic method is an unlearning process. There is a ton of research on it in machine learning. And in organizational development, organizational psychology, like I remember reading way back, I can't remember if it was in my bachelor's or my MBA,
Yeah.
but the Chris Argyris, Argyris, and the other person's last name is shown with an umlaut over the O, like
Yep.
Schon. I don't remember his first name. And I only remember Argyris's first name, or Argyris. I don't even know what I'm saying right, because it's Chris and that's my brother's name. But they talked about this forever ago, and there's a whole like there were a couple of modern books. They stay kind of shallow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the problem. Like business people want the easy answer.
Well,
They want
yeah.
the easy answer in
Obviously,
every realm,
they want
right?
the
And so
easy,
it becomes
simple
this like,
answer.
yeah, and they want the thing that's gonna like magically give them $1 million and only require $1 worth of effort. And like I have not found the magic wand store. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So I
It's
have a
hidden
question for
behind a
you.
pub.
So you had mentioned that they can't just rebuild it because it costs $1 billion. What if in the future actually creating and training these models is a lot less expensive or it's easier to do? Do you
Then you
think
have a lot more potential for machine unlearning, which
yeah.
at least means that the machines that we are referencing, that we are asking, won't surface old crap that has been outdated. I mean, this is the source of some of the hallucinations that we get in
Oh yeah.
AI
Oh,
output.
absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
but it's also, I mean, right now we are operating in a paradigm. I just misused that word. I'm sorry. And I'm going to be fair to myself. Thomas Kuhn, who literally coined the term, had 23 different definitions of it in his original like version 1. And someone called him out on it and he was like, yeah, my bad. And he tried to like narrow it down to 2 primary. It's hard to do. Anyhow, that was severe rabbit hole. But in our current understanding, our current assumption of reality is that it's expensive to rebuild these models. It takes a ton of time. It takes a ton of compute. It like uses a lot of natural resources. So we don't want to do it. But it's
Yep.
not hard to imagine a future where that's not true.
Yeah.
And so if these companies are specifically focused on building their own unlearning organization, one of the questions they will be asking themselves is, again, like, under what conditions is this true?
Yeah.
And so compute being expensive, it's true. I mean, I organizations who are going all in on AI implementation right now and who aren't paying attention to these conditions are doing themselves a disservice, because right now these companies, every last one of them, are selling this token access at a loss. And
Yep.
as soon as these companies like launch their IPO, as soon as they get swept up by private equity or like one of these like other funding structures that require a profit, that your company has just built all of their infrastructure on very, very, very expensive assumptions.
Yep. 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 This is why
I
you
mean,
and I are like, we got to figure out a way to have our data local, that we own it. This is why so many people are investing in little mini, what are they called, the thing, because they're like, I got to try and run it locally because I know that the bubble's going to burst and that it's going to cost me a ton more to do the stuff that I just throw tokens away on right now. It's crazy
Yeah.
to think about that, but it will happen.
Yeah.
It's just what. Anyways, we need to go. I gotta go. I gotta get some sleep, man. I haven't slept yet. Can you see my eyes are like, "Arr." Yeah,
Well, go sleep. Thank you
I
everyone for
will.
joining us. Thank you for hanging out for our
Yay!
extra long episode.
Which was
And
so cool. You got to send that stuff to me, woman. The 4
yeah,
and
I've
the
got them right
10,
here on my screen. I can I'll send it, and
4 and
then you can
10,
make
10 4,
things.
the 10 4.
10-4.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. The confirmation, the unconfirmation of the confirmation. I like it.
Oh,
All right. Bye everyone.
bye. Take care.